What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Let's begin.
Lose! I don't lose! I win! I win! That's my job! That's what I do! There is no tomorrow!
Focus on what you're doing. Get better at what you're doing. Everything else is a complete waste of time.
It's not over until I win!
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the channel. Let's get into it. Bitcoin. Massive move made by Bitcoin, metals. A lot happening in the geopolitics, Epstein files and whatnot, all contributing to the move that Bitcoin has had in the last couple of days. So let's do a deep dive to it. Might be an extended video. We'll see if I would edit some of this out to meet the time, or if not, just go about with the business. All right, so let's get into it. Daily. The last time when we were on the daily time frame, the price was hovering around 97, so we were able to kind of catch this move, the build-up of the 18-day period, which led to the breakout from this horizontal block, descending trend line, gets rejected on the immediate resistance, forms this box as the support, and then eventually breaks out above it. That was the move I was able to anticipate, I was able to bank on, and it played out to perfection. Now, I was expecting this immediate resistance zone to hold in the anticipation that we would, or rather the price would wiggle its way upwards towards this supply zone and we would get the relief rally that I was hoping for. Game of probabilities, that was not to be the case, turned out to be absolutely wrong on that side of the trade. Absolutely all right, part of the game, right? Now, what has happened since then? Obviously, this price resistance of 93.95k, again for reference, this is your weekly pivot, as you can see. So weekly resistance above everything else. Gets rejected, gets sliced and buttered through this resistance block as well, which ideally should have held to where I was anticipating the move to be. Again, that was not to happen. And then one thing you've got to kind of agree, if you have been following some of my videos that I've been posting off late a bit more frequently now, is the art of drawing and getting the boxes in the right manner with what the price should react against, right? Was support in the move when it broke up, where it found support, but then this time around, this block and the price is about 89 to 90k, gets rejected, and then very clearly now it has established itself that the move to the 97k was a failed breakout. So let's accept that. What's next? Well, a few weeks ago, a high probability scenario I was anticipating was a swing failure pattern. So the price formed a low 74,420 on Coinbase back in April of 2025. Now, the contention of the idea was to create the panic, Bitcoin is dead, crypto is dead, you would eventually find the price hovering around the same levels again, right? Which seems to be the case now. So now for this bull case to happen, which is getting to a new all-time high on Bitcoin, 140 to 160k is what my conservative range is. If the weekly pivot block, which is this blue box here, doesn't turn itself into resistance, that's the caveat. This block has to serve as the resistance, and for any kind of new all-time high, Bitcoin needs to make. Price needs to do whatever bottoming formation it needs to do within this price zone, right? If that does not happen, the idea, the bias that the Bitcoin will make a new all-time high is in the trash can. We'll get to what that bearish scenario looks like and all the price targets. There's all these drawings, but one at a time, right? So at this point, this weekly resistance pivot has played out to be a major one, right? You can see this candle where it's got like a sell pressure or a big wick upside, but clearly closing itself right underneath it, right? And then hence the rejection. Okay, coming back to then onto the daily. For any kind of hope the bulls have, and for the bias that the Bitcoin in the next few months, remember, a lot of risk asset narrative in terms of the flow of the money and the liquidity got sucked by metals, right? So any kind of risk-based asset narrative and the flow where the money was in with regards to the risk assets was sucked up by gold, was sucked up by liquid silver. Yeah, so that affected crypto. All of the I don't know how and what percentage of crypto traders also diverted their funds in terms of chasing gold or chasing silver and any of the other commodities in the metals market, and took the liquidity away from the crypto space. And absolutely the October 10th event, which is this one here, the deleveraging event which happened in October of last year, was quite cascading, and the market still, to what it seems like, is still trying to absorb it, and whatever tweets have been made by the OKX, I believe it's the OKX exchange CEO against Binance and all that crap. So clearly there's some stuff going around on there. Cool. So coming back to charts, I think what, in terms of the bull case, negative sentiment, metals have sucked the liquidity out of crypto, it seems. And we'll get to the gold and the silver charts during the course of this video, but it seems like a temporary top, if not the top, is finally in. And the swing failure pattern should now be something like, I think we get the price breached 74,400, maybe come to the box here, hover around here, come back here, and then if we are able to establish the price above this low of 74,400, that gives some hope where some relief rally could be in the play, and then we eventually get to this zone. And then I've already laid out my thesis around what could or couldn't happen post that once the price is in this zone, right? So there will be quite a lot of resistance here once the price gets to. So price breaching 74.20, hovering around just on the side of it, and maybe to the mid box 69 right here, which is about 70k, comes back aggressively and then makes its way back. That is the only bullish scenario I can think of where this bias and this thesis of new all-time highs on Bitcoin makes sense, which obviously would mean that you've got ETH, you've got XRP and rest of the other altbacks pumping and making an attempt and doing their new all-time highs and beyond, and we eventually get the euphoria that we and rest of the others are looking for in the crypto space before an eventual dump of things, of everything. Okay. Now again, in terms of target, I've held these targets 140 to 160k as conservative should 74k this weekly block hold. Again, let's assume here's your high. Let's assume it breaks this 74,400 and gets to the middle of somewhere this box. Fair to say the 1.272 and 414 is kind of within that box of conservative target I've got. So that is the bullish scenario. to summarize, a failed breakout is confirmed. Very high probability the price is going to get sliced or buttered through 74,420. If not sliced through, you eventually will get a breach of that price point. For the bull bias to come to fruition or have any probability of it materializing itself, price needs to make an SFP swing failure pattern to establish itself, and then reclaim this price point and then consolidate for whatever period it needs to, or month, 2 months, whatever, bore out the participants, and then whatever narrative comes into play, make the move upwards. Okay, now just to kind of emphasize on, that's doable. That absolutely is doable. Let's look at Nvidia. Nope, that's not the right chart. Stop. Right, let's go on to the weekly here. Right, so on Nvidia, you can see it made a low in August 24. In about a year's time, came back to revisit that low. This is what that swing failure pattern I'm talking about, right? That right there. So price attempts to break that low, but then the buyers step in to that asset and the asset gets bought back up quite quickly. And then Nvidia goes on to make a new all-time high. So this was the high, this was the high Nvidia made before breaching these low. Let's put the fibs back on. High 152, swing failure low 86, and very comfortably breached the 1.41, and well, from a momentum standpoint is pretty much established 178 as the support for now. And where does it go from here? I'm not analyzing that, and nor am I following Nvidia. But this is an example of the swing failure pattern, and also the fact around the 50-week moving average, right? So broke the 50-week moving average, undecided, swing failure, comes back up, the super trend is still bearish, but breaks above it. It doesn't get any kind of material resistance drop from this price point, right? So what I mean by that is when the price is kind of moving back up from this move from a high to a low, you would potentially get a good chunk of resistance from the golden ratio, which is 0.618 and the 0.786 zone, right? But in this case, it just blasted through that. Whether that happens with Bitcoin when the price gets to 106k, 108k, I don't know. We'll get to. I don't think that doesn't matter what I think, but point is we'll get to that point when we get to and see what the chart tells us. Okay. So that's where we are, looking for a swing failure pattern, clear failed breakout established. And let's then just do a quick rundown of where the indicator values or what the indicators that I track are telling us, right? Starting off with the 50-week. Maybe I should do this on a more cleaner chart just so not to mess up on my previous drawings. Okay, so kissed the underside of the 50-week moving average, and then since then, as we have already established, it's a failed breakout and is moving down. Here's your low, and yeah, okay, here's your low. Then let's then jump on to the standard Ichimoku. It's, yeah, looks bad, no denying that. And the Kumo is also turning bearish, not positive. Let's bring up the Bollinger towards the bottom end of the Bollinger Band. Not surprising. And the rest of the others, yeah, So the 200 week is currently at around 54,770 on the bottom side of it. So ideally, now that it's broken, the 50-week moving average is on the underside of it. Probability number one is absolutely banking on, or not banking, but primarily looking for that swing failure pattern. And if the price is able to reclaim this price pivot, and then that's like scenario number one. If that was not to happen, I'm afraid we are heading lower. And then I say we are heading lower from a moving average standpoint. 200-week moving average is what the investors kind of look at for a long-term entries, or see if the price is able to establish support. But you can expect fundamentally, let's bring up the chart here. This was your prior all-time high, maybe this zone here, right? So yeah, something around those levels should make sense. All right, the 200-week moving average is kind of in the middle of this box anyways. So that's where we are on the indicators and where that kind of meets the price with Bitcoin. Okay, another kind of interesting comparison I've drawn out in the last couple of videos, and I think I did a dedicated video on the gold to Bitcoin ratio and comparison, and where I think the capitulation of Bitcoin is likely to happen given the bullish run gold has been on. Okay, so Bitcoin for the last year or plus has been in a downward trend, losing strength against gold given the momentum and the bull run that's been in the metals market. This is what I had drawn out, right? 3-month range, this block right here, ranging into it. This, what you see here, is the weekly low SNR. So if we hover on to the weekly, as you can see, this kind of is a key pivot of the price. But essentially, for capitulation to happen, this was the zone I was looking for, right? The 3-month pivot block. It's touched it, it's kissed it, it's home, right? So if I add to the thesis of the swing failure pattern, all of the risk-based liquidity being sucked by the metals, potentially silver and gold primarily getting that euphoric top, and Bitcoin getting capitulated against gold. That's adding to the thesis that a big move or a reversal of some nature is right around the corner for Bitcoin and crypto. That's my thesis, that's my bias, that's what is adding to that bias of bullishness, the negative sentiment and all the other beautiful stuff I've said in the last few minutes. So this right here is in the block of what I believed to be the capitulation. So the order block for the 3-month. If I pull up the fibs from this low back in October of 2022 to the highs we had in October of 24, so a 2-year bull run of sort coming to an end, and then see where we are right above the 0.786. So the first kind of objective to see Bitcoin getting capitulated against gold has been met. The 0.786 and the 0.84 is also open, I would say, given whatever geopolitics and the other political storm, US, Iran, Epstein's internal politics within the US, the NATO versus the US, you know the stuff that's going around, right? So can't rule out the fact if a scenario plays out where you eventually get a dip to this zone, and then we form a bottoming formation or Bitcoin against gold around that range. Essentially, there's no denying that. But for the moment, the primary thesis I had, the charts and the zones I had drawn, they are here. Right, the price and the candle is here. Looking at the RSI, high, lower high, and then clearly you can see the momentum is kind of heading towards a capitulation zone. We reversed on Bitcoin against gold from this zone right here. So it's home. The momentum is home as well. Now let's bring up gold. Well, in the gold video I did, I said the psychology of the retail around number is what makes sense. I was looking for $5,000. We clearly have gone a few bucks above. Gold touched 55, almost 5,600, so went above about 500, 600 bucks above. But initially, for some of the select few who have watched that video, you can see the divergence that I was pointing towards. I was pointing towards where's the bloody so I was pointing towards something here as in the first divergence that was getting formed. So a high, a low on the momentum. There was this brief drop, but the thing with bull markets is you shouldn't stand in front of the bull, right? You shouldn't. And you have to wait for the confirmation for a top. Until the trend is not reversed, be it a bull or a bear market, that's the trend that market is going to follow, unless the primary trend. So never stand in front of the bull when it's a bull market, and don't be smart enough to kind of just pre-adjourn if the bear is done, because the price can still, the crypto noobs would know, it can still fall from the lows to another 99% and you'll still get wrecked. So the divergence is what I was looking for. The price was around 4,500 at that point. I was anticipating a move to $5,000, which it came here on this candle, and then that is the euphoric top, 5,600. What does that mean? So you can see very clearly now the drop in the momentum. Again, I'm not saying this. Look, probability wise, the way the price has got rejected from 5,600, it's a big rejection, right? Like these are the kind of rejections you would hope to see. Oh, that's too much of a, there you go. Like these are the kind of drops one would expect to see when a euphoric asset has stopped. So we'll see if this is the eventual top or not, but for the moment, don't. I want to see some confirmations here. So the price has dropped 16%, right? And from a, let's go on to the weekly. Weekly is what I care about. So look, it's the price on gold is still well above the 50-week moving average. It's well above the 50-week moving average. So let's give it another few weeks, I would say, 2-week, 4-week window to say whether this actually is the top. I think so, but that's very early in terms of the early buys. It's met its $5,000 psychological point. It's had that wick pushing the price above another $500 to $600. Massive red candle rejection from that price point. A 2-year plus bull run into metals, political instability. We will see what it does, but as I just said, don't stand in front of the bull. Let's take a sneak peek at silver as well. Silver, where are you? That's where you are. Cool. Why am I not surprised? Gets rejected, fine, but finds the support to the super trend, kiss, and the weekly pivot right there. Okay, So guys, again, let's just, for accuracy's sake, 40%, that's almost double to what gold has dropped to. Similar observations. Let's not, I don't want to jump to the conclusion, but yeah, the way it's got rejected, and very early indications of a top, but it's with whatever uncertainty is in the market right now, not just in the financial terms but also the geopolitical sense of it, right? Look, the silver chart is an interesting one, right? It's broken out of almost a 40-year odd range, you can say, right? So at some point there, it would absolutely make sense for silver to revisit the prior all-time high, which is $48, which means that's another, let's go to the weekly, so that's another almost 44% drop, and that could be the buy opportunity, which may give you like a good percentage of return if you were to catch that move, right? So that would be a good entry point for people to take a short trade here as well. But just in terms of that zone would make a lot of sense if price was to find itself for silver. And this block here, right, which is where the move eventually came about. And if you take this overall move to the highs, your 0.618 is about $28. Yeah, we'll see if it's the top for years to come, or if it's a top for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year. We'll see about it. But again, add to the bias, add to the thesis. Risk-based liquidity sucked by the metals, gold and silver primarily, and the October 10th liquidation event, Binance, geopolitics that's been played around, the Nvidia chart that I just showed you, that kind of is the bias or the thesis where I am still holding on to the fact that it would be really odd that it just keeps dying down. Well, it can. I don't have a control over it. But we'll see. We'll see and discuss all those scenarios. But in summary, similar to what I had on the gold chart, if you go back and play back the video, the Bitcoin chart you will see resembles the BTC to gold chart quite a bit. And this was the 3-month block I was referring to on the BTC gold chart, which is where price has now found its home. There you go. I have the same expectations on Bitcoin in the first instance, and that block is around 26 to 30k. Quite deep to people's imagination, but I've been in this space for a few years to kind of say nothing is impossible. But yeah, that would be a giga bid zone should that happen. But that doesn't mean I'll wait, or if you're looking to get into the space and you're looking to get into some exposure for Bitcoin, that you need to wait for that price point. My personal plan would be to look to get into the space, Bitcoin or the others, wherever is the bigger R2R, once I see Bitcoin hovering around this block right here, if that comes. And that's a big if, right? Price has to kind of breach this consolidation first. So one move at a time, one move at a time. Let's see if the swing failure pattern first of all comes to fruition or not. So let's see what and how the price develops. I hope the video was informative, was helpful for you guys. Until I do this another time, cheers.